Hello there, kia ora. Look, I'm going to keep this one really simple for editing purposes mostly, because it's been a busy weekend. And I'm going to let Blake do most of the talking on this one. He's going to tell you a tale about one of the people he reached out to in his campaign to help reduce the reductions that this government put in place over Whaikaha. And this is a hell of a doozy of a reaction from somebody who's no longer in office. But I'll be back afterwards to tell you who it was that he's talking about and to show you a really fascinating clip that surfaced during the 2022 local body election. Because, yeah, it's a bit weird. But because this is going to be a video that might make you angry or upset or just not impressed, I'm going to show you something really impressive. This is a cake that looks like a dragon. It's cake. This was at the food show. It makes me happy. I hope it makes you happy. I could never eat a cake like this because of the sugar and it's so beautiful. But I figured this was a nice way to get people in a good mood before I hand it over to Blake and he tells you a story that's not particularly fun.
Hello there, Blake here. Over the weekend, I started to feel a bit better. So I decided that I felt well enough to do a few versions of copying and pasting my letter that I have been sending to government and local council officials while I felt a bit better. So I copied and pasted it to a few different people while I had the energy. One of those people who Paul will name in a minute was a former mayor of South Whaikaha. Now here's a few facts of what happened. I contacted this former mayor like I normally would any former or current elected official and sent an email version and a text message version providing both of those contact details are available. I decided to contact who I would later find out would be the former mayor with my text version and email version of my message. He replied that he wasn't interested, but not in such a polite way, saying that he disapproved of Labour's and the Greens and didn't want to be a part of anything involving them. And that was fine. No problem with that, because everyone has their own political views and political opinions. So we respect that. So I apologized to him for bothering him and thought nothing more of it. Later that afternoon/morning, I get a telephone call from his number. I pick up the number, introduce myself as speaking. He proceeds to go on a rant for 30 seconds to tell me that I should stop spamming people with text messages and emails about my campaign to see if they would be interested, and hope that I enjoyed hanging out, describing the Green Party as hippie green flowers, and hoped that I enjoyed naming Labour the other people. And he proceeded to threaten me and tell me that he would recommend that people stay clear of me, Paul and others, and not join the campaign, and then proceeded to hang up the phone. Now, the only words I got in this conversation was hello and my name speaking. The other rest were dominated by him before he hung up the phone. Now, the last part of this was I went to go and screenshot this so I could show Paul, because he's a part of the campaign, as I thought it was important. But in the time that I hung up that the phone was hung up, I went to take a screenshot of the call log and it had disappeared. So I went to see why, only to find that he had blocked me already. So that was nice. So 31.2 seconds, if you want to be pedantic, of him sharing his views. And to tell you just a little bit more about this man, and to reveal his name, he is Paul.
Oh, hey, welcome back. So Blake's talking about the former mayor of South Wairarapa, Alex Bayne. Alex was only in for one term before he was replaced at the last term. The people of South Wairarapa decided to vote in a different direction. And he's a really fascinating fellow. He actually has a really snazzy dress sense, to be fair. It kind of surprised me. I didn't know what to expect. But at the same time, well, he was very vocal against Three Waters, and he loves his loud American sports cars that have like the really big engines, and he's really passionate about the fact that all the banks are basically closed in South Wairarapa, and that's like a third largest part of the Greater Wellington area. So that's a lot of people there and a lot of space that doesn't have like direct banking services anymore. Totally get that perspective. But he was also really clear when he was an elected official about how he felt on central government politics. In fact, this is what he said.
If you were running for government, which party would you be with?
I'm not going to say, because actually as a mayor and a local official, you need to be neutral and you need to be able to work with any party who may be in government. So when I became mayor, I suspended any involvement with any national political party.
I mean, it's quite clear now he feels he can be a lot more vocal about his perspective, and his perspective is very, very clear. And that's completely his prerogative. After all, he's no longer in a position of power, and quite clearly by saying things like this to somebody who is severely disabled when they're asking for help around sorting out funding for the disabled community, he doesn't want to be a person who's back in power at any point, or even really seen as a community leader of any sort, I guess. But that's up to him on what he wants to do in his future. Anyway, that's the video for today. We've done the whole thing. Like I said at the beginning, this is all for editing to make it super simple. I will be back tomorrow, where I'm going to have a look over what happened over the weekend while I was busy looking at cakes. Here, look at another cake. It's really awesome.